Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Cassie, and I really like to talk about books. So, today we're going to talk about all the books that I read in February. This is like kind of late because it's literally March, like 27th as I'm filming this, but I decided to do it because why not? So, to get into it, my February reading stats are I read 11 books in total in February, and out of those, I read one mystery thriller, 7 romance, 2 romancy, and 1 fiction. I read 4,635 pages. The first book I read in February was Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and so last year in like July, no, not July, June or something, I don't know, sometime in the summer, I listened to the first one on audiobook and listened to it like in one day and absolutely loved it. And then after that, I bought all of the books. So I have the third book too to read, but I haven't read that yet because apparently it's really scary, so I'm scared to read it. Anyway, this one I gave 4.75 stars. It definitely wasn't bad by any means. It was just the first one hit, or like was better to me at least. Definitely have to read the first one first. It's not like interconnected. It still follows Pip, but in this one, she's doing a podcast following her like investigation and stuff that she did in the last book, and then she ends up helping one of her friends find his older brother. I think I can say that, who was like also her friend because he went missing, and then you kind of just follow that. I can't really say a lot because it would spoil stuff, but I give it 4.75 stars. um I really liked it. It is really sad to see, like, as you go on, Pip gets kind of like not more depressed, I would say, but it was like the ending of this was so sad. Well, it was like bittersweet because she was sad and then she's fine, and if you read it, you get it. Also, I tabbed it up. These tabs are kind of bad, but whatever. Um, and literally, it was so bad that I was giggling over like the crumbs of romance in this because it's literally like a mystery thriller and it's kind of dark, but I don't care. Ravi is he's so cute and like it's so good. Anyway, so 4.75 for this one. Okay, the next book I read was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I also gave this one 4.75. It wasn't like a 5 star, but it was still really good, and it was my first Abby Jimenez book, and I really, really liked it. This one follows Allie, or Alexis, and Daniel. Daniel lives in this small town of Walken. I forget what the state is, but we'll just say Walken. I think it's like, I was going to say Wisconsin, but I think that's wrong. Anyway, they end up having a one night stand. They decide to be like friends with benefits situation. Allie is like a doctor and she has to like carry on this legacy for her family of like renowned surgeons. Family's always been kind of like not disappointed. Don't see it as a big accomplishment that she's not a surgeon and just a doctor, even though it's a really big like even though yeah, it's cool. She's like a really good doctor and like really smart and stuff. Anyway, it just kind of follows them. It's a romance book, so they fall in love. I've decided that Abby Jimenez kind of gives me the same vibes as Emily Henry, where Emily Henry, if you've ever read her books, it kind of feels like more like women's fiction with a subplot of romance, and I kind of feel like that with Abby Jimenez. It kind of just has more to the story than just like being a fluffy rom com or whatever. And then the next book I read was Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is in the Boys of Tommen series, and if you watched my January reading wrap up, I read Binding 13 and Keeping 13 then, and this series, I'm just gonna like gonna die how addicted and obsessed I am to them. I always like heard people talk about and how like you get so addicted, and I was like, oh, you can't be like that addicted. I was kind of scared to read them because I was like, didn't want to not live up to the hype. And let me tell you, they lived up to the hype. All these books are like 5 stars, I think, so far that I read. I mean, these ones are like 6 stars. This one was like, ugh, so sad. I didn't cry in this one. I don't think maybe like tears welled up in my eyes, but I didn't like fully cry. But this one is following Joey, who is Shannon's brother in the from the first one, if you've already read those ones. And it follows Joey and Aoife. This one is like from the beginning. Ends up getting to be by the end, starting to be in the same timeline as Binding 13. Anyway, and it's really good. Follows Aoife and Joey since they met. It starts in 1989. Like Binding 13 is set in 2005. I was like, it's just so good. I don't know, I can't pick a favorite book in this series. Every time I read one, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my favorite, and then the next one I'm the favorite. It's kind of like picking a favorite child, so I can't. And it's just the ending was so sad. I can't imagine if like you were reading this as they were published and you had to wait for the next one. I would actually sue. I'm so thankful, so grateful, so thankful that I read them afterwards because like then I could just go right into the book. But this one I gave 5 stars. I mean, it's like 6 stars. It's amazing. It's delicious. Delicious? I don't know. Anyway, so then immediately I went into Redeeming Six. And also, if you read this book, I didn't realize as I until like I got through it, with like the cover, what it gives. I'm not gonna say because that would be a spoiler. Anyway, this one's thick. I feel like a lot of people have like said it's dumb to have this one so thick compared to like Saving Six. Here, let me show you the difference. But I think the timing had to be like that way because of the way Saving Six ends and then it goes into Redeeming Six, and this just follows, it continues to follow them, and then it goes through like the same timeline as Binding and Keeping 13, I think, also in here. This is literally gonna make me sick. Anyway, I'm not gonna not gonna read those because I'll start to crash out. Anyway, this was also 5,000 stars, 6 stars. It's amazing. It's so good. This was my favorite book of like February. Oh, it's just these books are so good. Search up your trigger warnings. I think technically she says these should be 16 and up. The dedication in this one is also so cute. It still says 16 and up in America. I've heard people say that in or I was watching Emmy's video, Emmy Rossum. I don't know if that's how you say it, but she lives somewhere in the UK, and she just read these and they said 18 up in her in the UK. Anyway, but definitely search up your trigger warnings because there's definitely like stuff. I do feel like for these ones, they weren't as like if we didn't have Binding and Keeping 13, I think I definitely would have cried and like I would have been sobbing my eyes out because it was so sad and like stuff. But because you get because Joey and Shannon are siblings, you kind of get like backstory to Joey in Binding and Keeping 13. So it's like not so like all the trauma and stuff he goes through. It's not so like you already kind of know it going into it, and then you get his point of view in it, and so I feel like that makes it not as sad. It's still really sad and like traumatizing, and I want to give him a hug, and I'm gonna like throw up thinking about it. Anyway, but these are really good. You should read Boys of Tommen. Search up the trigger warnings though. Anyway, the next one I read was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This one I gave 4.5 stars. So far, I think all of the other Emily Henry books I've read have been 5 star, and I think it was also the fact that okay, 4.5 stars also is still a really good rating. It's literally like almost a 5 star. But I think part of the reason I might have set this up for not success, failure, not that it failed, but because I was in a hangover, reading hangover from Redeeming Six. It took me like a long time to get through People Who Made a Vacation. It's not that long because I was just thinking about Joey and Aoife and like screaming, crying, and throwing up every time. But anyway, I did really like this one. Um, it definitely did like how people say it feels more rom-commy than other Emily Henry books. Like I just said, Emily Henry books kind of give more women's fiction and then with a bit of romance. This one definitely felt more rom-commy. It's about Poppy and Alex, and they've been friends for a while, and they go on these vacations all the time, and they've always just been friends. And then there's a situation that happens, and they hadn't talked for I forget if it was 2 years or 1 year or something like that. Like not definitely not like how they used to be. Poppy is a journalist, travel journalist, something like that. Um, and so she decides to get Alex to go on one more trip with her, and then it's so that's the only thing you get in the present tense. Other than that, it goes back in like time to different trips and like shows the different years of them on the trip, so you get like their backstory as you go. And it was really good. I do feel um I was wondering in the beginning of this if I didn't like dual timeline or past present timeline because I was just getting annoyed when we had to go back because we were like getting to good stuff, and I think that's just like to keep you interested. And I was also just in my Redeeming Six hangover. I also am excited to. I need to read Funny Story by Emily Henry, and then I'll be ready for this next month. Great Big Beautiful Life is coming out. But then I'm already excited to reread them, all of Emily Henry's books, and like rank them and see which is my favorite and stuff. But yeah, I really like this one. I gave it 4.5 stars and it was really good. Anyway, the next one I read was Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. I don't really know if I'm saying that right. I've heard other people say it like that. Anyway, I give this one 4 stars, and this is following Rune and Gideon. And Rune is a witch in hiding. The timeline is like kind of, I guess you would say, regional timeline. I think it kind of gives like Bridgerton or Pride and Prejudice vibes. Um, like she's high up in society. In this world, witches are outlawed, and so there's these things called witch hunters, I guess. Like they're like the police, like the guards, whatever. And Gideon Sharp is his name, and he's like a high up witch hunter. We follow Rune, and she's a witch in hiding. She helps witches escape. Since it's like regional era or whatever, she's high up in society. Like she's rich. She's an orphan, and her grandma died. Her grandmother was a witch as well, and that's who raised her up. And she ended up dying because people found out she was a witch. Anyway, because Rune is so high up in society and all this stuff, she needs a like husband eventually. If there's a witch that is captured or whatever, she wants to have one of like a suitor or husband that is on the inside of like the guards and stuff. Anyway, and so she ends up deciding to try and like court or whatever Gideon, but also at the same time Gideon is trying to figure out if Rune is the Crimson Moth, is what her like, not alias, but like her tagline is, of the witch who helps the witches to safety. Anyway, and so you're just following her. Personally, I hadn't read a witch fantasy ever, other than in Throne of Glass. We have some witches, but it was different, and so I really like this. A lot of people say it's like very basic, but like I'm basic, so I don't care. Anyway, I gave that 4 stars, and then immediately went into Rebel Witch. It came out like a few days after I was reading Heartless Hunter, like the day of. Anyway, I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. And basically, it just continues with the story. I can't really talk about it because there's like the ending of Heartless Hunter would kind of give it away if I talked about the plot of Rebel Witch. But it's really good. I would definitely recommend you guys reading those. They're really cool. They're also YA. Then the next book I read, so I'm gonna put this up here, but I didn't rate it because I did read it for school. I read Great Gatsby, and it was like interesting. I was honestly confused a lot, and it was just because I don't really like to read books over like a long period of time because then I'll just forget because I have like peanut-sized brain or whatever you say. And so I had to like read it over a long time because I had read it for school. So I kind of kept forgetting it. But now that Party for You by Charlie XCX is getting so like popular and stuff, everybody's saying it's what's his name, Gatsby song to what's her face, Daisy or whatever. And like that's honestly made me understand it more, and so it was really kind of funny to see that. Anyway, so I read The Great Gatsby, but I didn't read it. But it's still going towards my reading goal because I read it still. Next, I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, and I gave this 5 stars. Also, can we just take a minute to look at how cute these tabs are? They're so cute. Anyway, I've been wanting to read this for a while. I mean, it's very popular. My friend Olivia also really liked this book, so I told her I was reading it, and she like freaked out and was excited. I wouldn't say freaked out. She was excited. Whatever. Anyway, I really like this. This is following Liz. Okay, I don't really know how to say her name. I've been saying Buxom, but I don't know if that's how you say it. Anyway, Liz and Wes Bennett, and they end up like fake dating because Liz's like childhood crush comes back to town. His name's Michael, and so Wes ends up fake dating her. So it's enemies to lovers and kind of, or like rivals to lovers and fake dating and next door neighbors, and it's just so cute. It also takes place in senior year. Also, it talked about The Great Gatsby, and low key I was like, oh, this is funny because I just finished it, and low key it made me like know stuff more or like get more stuff out of it. Anyway, but yeah, it was really good. 5 stars. I read Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, the first book in her Gold Rush Rant series, which I think this is her first book ever. So I give this one a 4.5 stars. Um, this is the first Elsie Silver book I didn't give 5 stars to. It wasn't bad because 4.5 stars is still good. 4, even 3 stars is a good rating. But this one follows Vaughn. I think I'm saying that right. And Billy. Vaughn has to take over his grandpa's ranch because he dies, and they're train horses for like derby racing, I think is what it's called. I don't know. And so then he like gets a new trainer and like all this stuff. So Billy is this new trainer, but she also has like this kind of backstory that you don't know about, and like she might have some different family stuff going on. And they just kind of go through, it's kind of like, I would say, rivals to lovers slash enemies, whatever you want to say. But it was really cute. I really liked it, and I also loved when like I just love Elsie Silver's writing. Honestly, if Elsie Silver writes it, I'm gonna like it. I think. I don't know. I only have like two more books of hers. Well, technically, and the novella that's in this one that I haven't read that she's like published, and so far I've liked all of them. Anyway, it was really good. 4.5 stars. I don't know if I really gave you a good summary, but whatever. The next book I read was A Photo Finish, which was also the second book in the series, so it was the next one after. And this one follows Violet, which Violet is the younger sister in the Chestnut Springs series. If you like have read that. Personally, I read Chestnut Springs first. And so then I read this anyway. And it's Violet, and then Cole is Vaughn's older brother, and like he doesn't really talk to anyone. He's very tortured. But he ends up having to live at the ranch in this one of their houses because they also have like a mining company or whatever, gold rush, like gold mining, I think. And so like he handles that. He has to live there for a while. He's never been close to Vaughn or anyone. He doesn't really get close to people, so it kind of like just shows him trying to mend their relationship and stuff. I mean, kind of. Anyway, and then Violet lives on the ranch, but she lives like in the stables, like in the apartment above it. And she started off as their like ranch hand or whatever, but then ends up being a derby racer for them then in the first books. So in this one she ends up getting hurt, and because of the way she's hurt, she like hurt her leg or something. She can't go up the stairs to her apartment, so they decide she'll live with Cole. But what they don't know is Violet and Cole kind of have this history. So it's definitely spicier, but I still really liked it just for like it was just so good anyway. So but just a warning, it is kind of spicier. They have this history together and nobody knows it, and so they kind of like work through that but also not. Anyway, they end up just it's so cute, and like I don't know if I think I fully cried at the end of it, like not like sobbing, but definitely I had a tear running down my cheek, and it was so cute. It was just Cole was he's so cute, and it was like Loki might be one of my favorite Elsie Silver books. It was so good. Anyway, 5 stars. That's all the books I read in February. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna do my April TBR video soon, so stay tuned for that, and also my March wrap up once it ends being March. If you have any video ideas, comment them down below. Follow me on Instagram and Goodreads, will be linked in my bio or in the description. Like and subscribe if you like this content, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!